Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Mondays with Max, the place to be calm and just relax. We all know that our portfolios took a hit in the last couple days. It is what it is. It's already starting to recover, but we'll talk about that, mainly talk about that tonight, because I am really not concerned at all. This was a total opportunity. I wish I had more money on the sidelines. I only had a little. So it is what it is. But yeah, I don't think we really have anything to worry about. In my opinion, not financial advice. But let's get into who is here tonight, because that's the most important thing. Crypto Crag. It says 8th. I don't know. That's the first person I see. Son of a Rabbage, Vinny Del Greco. Thank you for being a member. Second TL, Caw Valley Crypto, Travelers Travels, Strange Tamer, Gaming with Smokey Dan. Thanks for being a member. 10 minutes to midnight. All set. Thanks for being a member. Deep Harsh, Nah City, Retro Mike. Just popping in to see if there is cause to ban Crag. Let's see. Automatic Beats. Thanks for being a member. Eatable Zebra. Let's see who else is here. Homebrew Crypto. Steven Cicero. Nelson Figueroa. Bad Ace. Neo Morpheus 1.0. Can't wait for 2.0. Chump Change is here. Thank you for gracing me with your presence. Amplifier Gaming. Geek of all trades. It's a fucking goat. Savage White Zero. Rusky's Crypto Cave. And that is it for now. Hopefully we'll get some more people in here in a little bit, but appreciate you guys all being here. Let's get right into it, because damn, it has been a bloodbath, an absolute bloodbath. Hang on a second, let me cue that back up. But you'll see it started to come back a little bit, about a little over an hour ago, it looks like. Let's see, hold on, let me get to... There we go. So Bitcoin's come up. Last 24 hours is now up 3.4%, 3.36% or so, but we are still down for the 7 days of about 15.8%. So yes, we are still feeling it. Ethereum down even more, down to 24%. And a lot of the altcoins were down 25 to 35%. So yeah, it's been a rough couple of days, especially yesterday, which is where the bloody Sunday happened. So yeah, but I am here to soothe everybody out and just relax. We're good. We're good. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here at all. But let's learn why some of these things took place, because there were reasons. So I should have written down like bullet points and things. I'm probably going to think about things along the way. But first of all, this has been a long time coming. And I don't necessarily mean for the crypto market, but they are intertwined because of leverage. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But it's been a long time coming. We have all been seeing it in reports. So-and-so company is laying people off. I mean, Intel laid off a fairly large percentage of their workforce. Those are the signs that a recession is coming. I'm not saying it's going to be a huge recession. I'm not trying to scare anybody into that. But the point being is a recession was absolutely needed. If we were going to get inflation down to 2%, which is what the Fed wanted to do, there was no way around it. I've been saying this for a long time. They have to cause a recession. Yes, the Fed always causes, well, not always, but there's other cycles and things. But the Fed in their tightening partially causes a recession. That is by intent. You have to slow down the economy in order to get, what ends up happening is you get this inflation and salary and pay cycle that, well, pay has to go up this much because inflation went up this much. Well, now inflation is a little bit higher, so now pay has to go higher. And so you get into this cycle. So the only way to break that cycle is to cause demand to go down because people don't want to spend as much. Businesses don't want to spend as much. So that's what they have to do. Volcker, way back in late 70s, early 80s, was the head of the Fed. And he had said way back when that, yes, I realize the things that I am doing right now are going to hurt a lot of people. But in order to get the economy where we need it to be so that we can get back to good times, it is absolutely necessary. Obviously, where we were coming from is nothing like what we were back in the late 70s, but it still was necessary to get it down to 2%. And it's even more important that we keep interest rates low right now because our debt is out of control. Could you imagine what would happen if interest rates went up to like 10%? I mean, that directly affects the treasury interest rates and therefore will cause us to even go more and more and more in debt just because we won't be able to keep up with the interest rate service. So Crypto Crag with the 469 super chat. Please ban Retro Mike. I am not a mod. Why does everybody want to ban Retro Mike? I haven't seen him say anything bad. I'm still talking about the market. I suppose I'm begging myself for now. But thank you for the super chat, Crypto Crag. I very much appreciate it. Any jumping out of windows yet? No, I am not jumping out of any windows. I mean, I work on the first floor, so I can't jump out of windows at work. And I only have a 2-floor house, so pretty hard to kill myself jumping out of windows. But yeah, there'll be none of that. There will be none of that. There is nothing to worry about here. So anyway, so bottom line is this is something that has been a long time coming. A 20% correction in the market typically precedes a recession, usually by about 4 to 6 months. So what I'm thinking is that by the time we get to maybe the end of fourth quarter, we may be slightly negative. And then first quarter next year is going to be more negative. And then hopefully we'll be able to, hopefully it'll be a soft landing. Who knows? What's going to be really interesting is to see whether or not the Fed is going to actually hold an emergency meeting and actually lower rates in response to this. I don't know if that's a wise move or not, but I do find it very interesting to think that people in the market are saying, yeah, they need to do this. I don't typically think they're going to do that because they want to wait and see I don't know. I'm not sure what they're going to do, honestly, because like I said, we just had the downturn in the market. That is a very strong sign that you've done what you needed to do. You now have 20% less wealth in the country. And because of that, there's already going to be less money to be used. I mean, not all of that is saved. And just, sitting someplace that is used by people. So, and because people don't have as much now, they're less likely to spend as much because of what they lost, because they want to regain what they lost. So it's a mental thing from a consumer perspective that they're not going to be as ready to spend money now that they've lost as much as they have in the market. So anyway, let me see what people are saying in the chat, and then Retro Mike, I like you. Isn't that enough? Geek of All Trades says, Max, wait, so was Germany right to sell their BTC? Well, it certainly makes them look really brilliant right about now. But I truly believe that Bitcoin, 2 months from now, this will be a big yawn, and we'll be kicking ourselves that we didn't buy more Bitcoin at right around 50 when it hit 50. I know that there was a strong prediction in the market that we would get down to 52 if things transpired a certain way, meaning that basically there's all these trades that unwind. You have people it's basically margin calls in a sense. But this one was actually even something more than that, because if you look around the world, who has like super low interest rates? Japan. So people would go to Japan, borrow money against the yen, move it into dollars, and then use that loaned money to trade in the markets. Sounds like a great plan. Except the problem is that people didn't foresee Japan raising interest rates. So what does that do? Well, if a currency has higher interest rates, it makes it more valuable because you can invest in safe bonds at a higher rate, make more money. Therefore, it makes it worth more. Well, when the yen goes up in interest rate, it makes the yen go up against the dollar, meaning it means more dollars are needed to buy the same amount of yen. So if you have a loan of, say, I don't know, I don't even know what the transfer, let's just say 1,000 yen. Say if a loan for 1,000 yen, it's going to require more dollars to basically transfer into that yen and pay off that loan. Or it's going to require more dollars to pay that higher interest rate. So all this kind of unwound. That was like 3 weeks ago, so it took a while for that to unwind. But with everything, it basically became like a cascade effect. And that's the reason why there are controls in the market to try to stop that cascade effect. Thanks, Gaming with Smokey Dan. Will you seem to have fix things, calm this all down, check crypto bubbles, now all green. Yes, there are things that are, not everything's green, but pretty much everything has turned green in the last hour, last 24 hours. That is correct. But that certainly wasn't because of me. That's because all these things have unwound. It's done. Everybody who was, it's like a squeeze. It's almost like a short squeeze, but it's not a short squeeze. Because short squeeze is if you are shorting the market and things go up. This was the opposite. But again, it's leverage. If you are taking out a loan to buy more of something because you believe it's going to go up faster than how much you're having to pay in interest on your loan, that's what this is. Except when it starts to go down, you no longer have as much assets against that loan. Therefore, you get a call and says, excuse me, I need more assets to hold against your loan. Otherwise, we're just going to start selling automatically. Most people don't want to do that. They usually want to try to get ahead of it. But it, again, caused this cascade effect. There were no stops in the crypto market. We don't have any. It's not the way it works. Obviously, in the stock market, you have those stops that slow things down a bit. But even so, stocks, I believe, still could have further to fall. But again, that's because of fundamentals. The things that happened in the crypto market weren't necessarily because of fundamentals. They were because of this unwinding of assets and things where people had to liquidate in order to get what they needed in order to make themselves whole. Could that happen more? It's possible. It could. But here's the thing. This is why I actually am good. This finally happened. This needed to happen. It finally did. Okay. Now that it did, we're on the other side. We're on the other side of it. Okay. This means lower interest rates going forward. That's good for Bitcoin because that means the value of the dollar is going down. The value of the dollar is going down. That means the value of Bitcoin against the dollar generally will go up. All assets will. Of course, if every other economy in the world is having the same problem, maybe not so much. But Bitcoin tends to do better in a falling interest rate type of economy. So that's a very good thing. Now, what's interesting is I looked at this back in, not the last halving, obviously, we had a falling interest rate economy because of the pandemic. Okay. No doubt about that. But the previous one was the one I was interested in. We did not have a falling interest rate economy, but we did have a relatively stable interest rate economy. It was going up a little bit at a time. I think during that bull run, I think it went up maybe 0.5% over that period of time, maybe 0.75%, but not very much. Certainly not like what we've seen over the past like year and a half with the Fed tightening. So, but I'm feeling very, very encouraged because this event, like I said, needed to happen. I had been predicting this for a while. Other people have too. I mean, this is textbook recession. What has to happen? 20% reduction in the market. That's what has to happen. And then it's not necessarily a catalyst. It's just a symptom of what's happening in the economy. And it finally happens. And then the symptoms keep going. And yes, the Fed hopefully will respond much quicker than has been done in the past. Typically you'll start, I really should look at this as far as history. Like, when did the Fed actually start to lower interest rates after a stock market crash? And see if that had any effect on, I haven't researched that yet, but I don't know. I just thought all of this was pretty fascinating actually. And the problem I had was I didn't have much cash on the sidelines. I did have some. I forgot that I had sold, some of my Bitcoin ETF back when it hit around 70, and I never reinvested. I totally forgot it was there. So I did reinvest that between 52 and 53. So I was pretty happy about that. It was only like $700 or something. So it wasn't a lot that I had sitting on the sideline, but hey, it was something. I'm certainly glad to have $700 in the market at 52 to 53 rather than what I have most, which is somewhere between 60 and 65 in that account. But yeah, it's pretty fascinating what's going on. And I think that it won't necessarily go up like immediately. We're not going to see a return to 70 immediately. I think we'll get into some more typical trading. Maybe this will be the start of the parabolic. I don't know, but I think things need to calm down just a little bit in all the markets where things stabilize before Bitcoin can start to go up. I think that's at least going to be another month before things start to stabilize. And again, we're going to get dead cat bounces and we're going to get big plunges. We're going to see a lot of volatility in the stock market, I think, over the next month. I will tell you that, a lot of stock traders kind of take the summer off, and that's the reason why stocks kind of don't really do a lot over the summer. Well, they woke up, that's for sure. So I think maybe we'll have a little bit early volume increases as a result of all this, but we'll see. We'll see. But I am not worried. I'm not worried. So how are things on the ground in the U.S. economy, for example, and your warehouse is busy, or is it slowing? That's pretty interesting because, I don't know why, but I can tell you that the warehouse I work in is busier than it's been in quite a while. But I also know that they've been doing promotions. The company that we house for, we're a 3PL, third-party logistics. So I don't know if it's because of that. And the food product I have has long shelf life. So it's one of those things where somebody could invest at a low rate. So I do know that the warehouses have been typically over capacity. Like if you look back in May, we were well over capacity. They needed to do something. So at the beginning of July, they did a huge promotion. Now we're well below capacity, but we know that heading into the holiday season and then into Lent, that's usually the busier part of the year. So I think this was more of think of it as kind of like, a car sale at the end of the year. You got to make room for new product. That's what I think this was. They need to make room for the new product that's coming out of the factories. So, but it is interesting that yes, we have been much busier than normal. We've actually had to do overtime for the first time in quite a while. And this week we're in August and we're still busy as all get out. I was actually just having a conversation with my transportation department. They were complaining, hey, it says you guys are out of capacity. And I'm like, well, okay, by the book, yes, but we can make it work. But bottom line is, if we look at the rest of the week, we've only got a few appointments left, and then we'll start having to overbook. So again, that's good news for our business, no question. But I can't imagine we're the only ones like that. So you're going to see different pockets, and this is one of the reasons why I think that we could go to a soft landing. It is possible, because I don't think all parts of the economy are going to be affected the same. Let's see. Game of Smoking Dan says, dead cat bounce. I thought they went splat. I don't know. I've always heard it called a dead cat bounce. When basically, you know, stocks go up after we've had a plunge, and only to, you know, get that bounce and then go right back down to where the bottom was. So we'll see. So wait a minute. I see MREs. I see spam. Okay, no. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, lots of it. Yes, we have to make sure that we keep a, shall we say, very clean warehouse. You can only imagine how that smells. So, all right. Second TL, in your opinion, soft or hard landing? Also, do you think Powell been doing a good job taking all things into account? I don't always agree with everything he does, but I think in general, he's the right guy at the right time. He's willing to make the tough choices. He's not a Volcker. Volcker went to he just basically took a knife and went, bam, you know, cut, which in that case, I mean, like, raise interest rates, you know, everything else be damned. We're going to get this damn thing under control. But again, we're talking about interest rates in the teens back then. So yeah, you had a much more severe situation that you had to get under control. So they needed a very severe recession to basically make the recession as short-lived as possible. So that, yes, we're going to have a year's worth of tough times, and then hopefully we can get beyond that. And that's basically, in my recollection, that's basically what it was. And so Powell has been relatively firm and tough on liquidity. You know, there isn't any QE2, QE3, you know, stimulus. There's none of that anymore. The only thing they've been doing has been interest rate, you know, raising, but they've gotten rid of all that stimulus. That was a good step. So we'll kind of have to wait and see, but I think in general, he's been doing a good job. Like I said, you know, the timing of everything, I tend to think he should have hiked faster. This has been a prolonged, painful couple of years where things have been slowing. I would have liked to have seen things slowed a little bit quicker. Just so we could get past it and get back to good times. But because he did that, that makes it more possible that we could be in for a soft landing. So all I can say is that I don't know whether we're going to be in for a soft landing or a hard landing. There's just too many variables to say. But historically, you're going to have much higher probability of a hard landing than a soft landing. It just is. So we'll have to wait and see how it is. And I think really it's not about the harshness of the landing. It's about the length of the recession. If we can keep that recession short, it would be a good thing. Let's see. I work with a guy who is Startroupian. I work with a guy who used to work at Merrill Lynch in investments. He's not worried. LOL. I mean, why would he be worried? He gets paid when people trade, I think, unless he's like in mutual funds. So it's hard to say depending on what part of the market he's in. Vinny Del Greco, hard landing, blood and tears. You're all heart, Vinny. Max is Abe, the Sausage King. Rizzo, you have no idea how right you are. If I could only find it. So I'm talking about the The skin suit, yeah. No, I know, but that's true. So anyway, we had a contest. Sorry, story time with Max. We had a contest in Chicago cyclocross, and the key thing was, and it was only a contest amongst reps within the industry that raced, or more than likely participated. We were not that good because we were overweight. Hence, the Sausage King of Chicago being the name of the contest. And anyway, it was more of, yeah, we were fat and we were squeezed into Lycra. So yeah, that's why it was called that. Anyway, so the prize of the contest was a skin suit that was what Ferris Bueller wore in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So it actually was pretty funny. So I wore it to a few cyclocross contests after that, just for fun. But anyway, it was more, like I said, it was more of a popularity contest than anything else. The guy who was running it didn't want to win it, even though he was in it. And there was really only one other main player in it. And he was a little bit less known than me at the time. So anyway, it was fun. Goat has been a member for 25 months. Thank you, Mr. Geek of all trades. It's the fucking goat. Max, does your company make, the wafers you get? No, we do not. We do not. Well, my company doesn't make anything. We're third-party logistics. We bring product in, we store it, we pick it, and we ship it out. That's all we do. That's what our business is. And we're good at it. Definitely good at it. I think gaming with Smokey Dan, either I said it a lot right in a row or he had a lot of catching up to do. Okay. I'm glad somebody's keeping me honest. Oh, we can come back to this topic later on. You guys think of questions you guys want to ask. Oh, that was one of my salad rigs making that noise, actually. So speaking of salad, actually, what is new with salad is that they just came out with a new release. August 5th just came out, like, I don't know, fresh off the presses, like 3 or 4 p.m., something like that today. So we're now up to update 1.6.2. And the last one was pretty ho-hum because it fixed a network security vulnerability, meaning that you're not going to make any more money. But this one says fixed an issue that impacted container workloads. So wish they would give a little bit more detail, like, okay, who might have been affected by this? But maybe I'll get more workloads. So I've upgraded. In fact, I did this on all, I have 7 rigs right now. I have let me see, make sure I get it right. 2 3060 Ti's, 3060, 4070, 4070 Ti. I have 8. No, sorry. I have 5 fingers on my hand. I forgot. So 2 3060 Ti's, 3060, 4070, 4070 Ti, and 2 3090s. So at the time when I was upgrading, the 2 3090s had jobs. One of them has lost a job at this point. So I'll probably right after the stream, I'll upgrade that one. But I'm not going to upgrade one and take it offline if it has a job right now. So, but I've been making about, let's say over the last 7 days, I've been making about $58 over the last 7 days. So do the math. That would be about $8 a day or so. So not a lot. Now I did just add a whole bunch of rigs, but those rigs really haven't been making much. That's the 3060 Ti's, the 3060. And one of the other things I did do is I had my vast farm, had 124090s and 14070, and everything was verified. So what I did do was I consolidated all the 4090s, or the 4 4090s that were in single rigs, move them all into the Octo server. So now I transferred a verified rig into the Octo server. So I did figure out how to do that. And it's working great. And, but then I also had the 4070 rig, and I'm like, wait a minute, I got these 3090s. Why am I putting a 3090 on Salad when I could be making consistent? And the key is consistent. You may not be making $7, even $6, $6 jobs. But the thing I found with Salad is that you're not consistently rented. You're going to stay rented. You might even stay rented for a few days, and then you may fall off for, 24, 36 hours. What's up 10.5%? The Nikkei is up 10.5%. Well, there's your dead cat bounce. So who said the Nikkei was up 10.5%?
Internet.
Oh, I thought you were saying somebody in the chat said it. Oh, look at that. Sunflower Mom is doing research for me. So the Nikkei is up 10.5%. Thanks. We usually read the chat at this point. So
I can do both.
Well, I know. I do know that. I tell you that all the time. Anyway. Okay. So what I ended up doing is I moved, and unfortunately I made a little bit of a boo-boo, which took a job that I had on the 4 4090s and basically killed it. So I decided the one that was verified, that I took that machine ID and put it in a different machine, I was going to totally just reload it from scratch, because I'm like, I'll be able to get updated CUDA on it and see if that helps out. So I did that, but somehow I didn't put the USB drive in because it's up high. I didn't have it in all the way, or I don't know, whatever. It booted up into Linux instead of into the Linux install, the Ubuntu install. So it basically took the machine ID back. So didn't realize that. By the time I was figured it out and got the machine booted up, it was like 12 minutes later. And at that point, job was gone. So I spent the last day unrented, but about midday today, I got re-rented. So now everything's rented. And the key was that I basically went up more than 3 cents an hour going from a 4070 to a 3090. So that's good. And then obviously the 4090 or the 4090s being centralized, being able to rent 4 or 8 at a time allows you to charge more. So it's been going very well. And the fact that the Octo server is awesome because it puts everything everything has 16 lanes. So that's a very, very good thing that helps you have a better DL perf score, which matters for certain jobs. So why do I bring all this up? Because I spent a lot of time going through this weekend. And why was I doing that? Because Andy always talks about this, right? And actually even DJ does. Like, hey, if you don't have money to invest, figure out a way to make more money. And so that's basically what I was doing this weekend. I was trying to increase what had been steady income of about $1,500, not including power. Obviously, I got to subtract that out, and trying to get it up to closer to around 2,000 or a little bit more by just moving things around. So I think I was able to get it up to 2,000. Right now, with the jobs I have on my Vast, and these have been sitting on there for quite a while. So in Vast, you tend to keep the same job as long as you don't screw things up, you don't lose your internet, anything that would interrupt it. And as long as that keeps going, I should be making about $490 a week. So just with that alone, that would put me over 2,000. And then with what I've got going on with Salad, like I said, $7, $8 a day. So you're looking at about $50 a week. You're looking at about another $200 a month that I can be making just with the AI side of things. That also helps pay if I'm, right now I feel like I'm pretty much, well, I haven't done the analysis since the market went down, but before the market went down, I was pretty much breaking even with my mining. Maybe slightly negative, but I'm continuing to mine. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, keep that in mind. I know other people that have things in AI. Keep that in mind. Oh, that was the other thing I did this weekend. Well, I did need to get an extra NVMe because I stole an NVMe drive from one of the rigs I took the 4090 out of and put it into the Octo server. So I needed to get an NVMe drive to replace there. Also got a Trip Lite power strip, something a little bit more robust than a standard power strip for anything 120, because some of the, well, basically all of the 3060 Ti's, 3060, they don't use a lot of power. So I can put like 3 or 4 of those on a 15 amp circuit without a problem. So, what was that? A thief? How am I a thief? Why are you calling me a thief, Mr. Goat? So yeah, you're throwing me off my groove, man. Throwing me off my groove. Okay. But so point being is that look at the hardware you have and make the best use of the hardware you have to make the most money. Mining will always be there. And, none of these projects are in jeopardy of not having enough security. So if it ever did, okay, then maybe it might be worth helping out the project and putting something on it. Not everything, but something. Oh, I stole an NVMe. Oh, I get it. I stole an NVMe and put it in. Got it. It was borrowing. No, it wasn't borrowing. I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but it was mine already. I didn't steal it. But I did actually. So this is one thing I also did, and I've been thinking about this. So, and I'm not saying I encourage this. I am simply stating, people always say, oh, Salad, you can't get real dollars with it. You can just get, gift certificates and, why can't you just get dollars? Hang on a second. If you get gift certificates, I'm pretty sure Salad is not reporting your earnings to the IRS. Again, I am not advocating anybody cheating on their taxes. I'm not. I'm just simply stating what people are going to think, which is if you get gift certificates, I don't think Salad's reporting that income to the IRS. If you get paid out in PayPal, PayPal is definitely going to report that as income. No question. So anyway, my reason was not that. It just made me think when I actually took $70, and actually with the 10%, so it would be $77. I took $77 and converted it into $70 of Amazon gift certificates because I wanted to buy some stuff from Amazon. I figured what better way I can get rid of paying that extra 50% that I'm paying every time I have a payout to PayPal. So I did that. So I paid all for all of the SSD and most of the actual power strip. So that was kind of cool, being able to just convert it. Oh, and speaking of Best Buy, you guys know I've mentioned it. I have financed the 4090s, and that's great. I'm doing well in paying them off, but I've also been buying some other things from Best Buy. So every time I buy those, I'm having to pay all of that down because even if I could get like 6 months free financing, I don't have enough room on the credit limit. Been trying to get them to increase my credit limit, but they don't seem to be having it. I recently requested it because I had paid some other things off that had come due, some other financing things that had come due. So hopefully they will see the reduction in overall credit and maybe allow me to go higher. But right now, Best Buy, I have no trouble finding. In fact, let me bring it up down here first, actually, because I may have to log out if it automatically logs me in, which it did. So sign out. Okay, now I should be able to do it up here now. Yes, okay. So if we go to 4090 RTX, I guarantee there's going to be some open box that we could find. Some that you could actually ship. So this is 1311. You're not going to be able to get the 1311, but go here. Oh, that's a darn good deal. Excellent for 1486. That yesterday was like 1550 or 1560 for that condition. That's an excellent deal. Wow, that's really good. But anyway, it just gets shipped to you. And then these two, because they're grayed out, you can tell they're not available. They're available somewhere else, otherwise they wouldn't be there. But 1486, that's darn good. That's over $100 below MSRP. Well, there you go. Anyway, that one's shipping. So we'll see if somebody snags that before the end of the stream. But I mean, these have been up there. I mean, these have not been hard to find. And then there's one down here, or was down here. Maybe it's gone. Nope, there it is. Now you can see this one's significantly more. And it's gone. This one was here. And I believe this one was in Schaumburg, if I remember correctly. But anyway, like I said, these come up fairly often, and people, I think, have kind of forgotten about it. For whatever reason, I look at Amazon, and they have like Amazon returns and things like that. I can't ever find anything there, but here I find this stuff all the time. So yeah, and it's gone. Oh, did somebody buy it? Let's see. Is it gone? Nope, it's still there. Oh, nope, and nope, there it is. Still, and add to cart. Still there. Still there. But it would take a little bit to check out. So if somebody was in the process of checking out, but like I said, that's an awesome price. So whoever gets it, congrats. Too bad I didn't use my affiliate code with Best Buy. I actually do have one. But anyway, I really want to get 2 more of these, because then I could have one whole Octo server of the exact same gigabyte card. That would be awesome. But like I said, can't do it because I want to do the 18 months. This is 18 months free. Like if I checked it yesterday. If you add to the cart, it'll show 18 months. This thing would pay itself off in 18 months. In my opinion, no guarantee. You don't know what the AI market's going to do. It is a risk. But given where things have been, it'd still easily pay itself off. Given where current earnings are, it'd easily pay itself off in little over 12 months at the most. All right, what are you guys saying in the chat? Game with Smoky Dan says, borrow from Peter to pay Paul, then borrow Paul to pay back Peter, as showed will pay back, upping the money every time. I'm not sure if you're making a joke or if you're being serious. I think you're making a joke. But yeah, I actually have thought about taking out like a short-term loan or something like that, but then it gets like too complicated in my mind. Wow, man, you're getting drunk. Gave me a Smoky 10. You're welcome. Gives you 5 minutes or something to get one. Yeah, there is a timer on it. A joke. Okay, well, I appreciate that. I thought so, But I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe he's trying to tell me that there's a way to do this. It's long-term renting, right? Gaming with Smokey Dan, it could be viewed that way, because and I've thought about this actually quite a bit, that when the 5090s come out, could probably sell the 4090s for minimum $1,200, which means I would have spent only $600 to $800 at the most. I mean, I'm really extending it. I didn't pay $2,000 for any of them, but let's just say it was $800. Well, I'm not paying off $1,800 over a year. Now I'm only paying off $800. Well, I've definitely paid off on every single one of the cards at least $800. Not a problem at all. So I can start the whole cycle all over again by buying 5090s, selling my 4090s, paying off the credit card that way, and then buying the 5090s. So, because some of my cards are actually fully, the way it works is I had some that were like 6 months, and so some of them were shorter than others. Those were the later ones I got because a lot of the financing had dried up after Christmas. But so some of the cards are completely paid off. Others, the Best Buy specifically, have the longest payoff. I mean, I don't have to pay off some of them until like November and December, until of next year of 2025. That, like I said, they were 2 years. There's at least 4 of them that are like that. So yeah, and some of them, because you still have to make a payment, some of them are just getting paid off anyway because of the payment the minimum payment I have to make on it anyway. So, by the way, that doesn't count. That's part of the sentence, Game with Smokey Dan. That does not count towards a drink. Just to be clear. Rizzo529 says, the IRS is letting anyone take out a $1,000 loan from their retirement account for an emergency bill. It can be anything. Might be an option. LOL. Why do you give me these ideas? Rizzo, you're a bad influence. Game of Smoking Dan said, it's an old saying, plus how Ponzi's work as you borrow from one to pay another and so on. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a Ponzi. Also, it says, number one rule, do not invest money you don't have. Well, yeah, I agree with that, but that's kind of how this whole thing unwound, because people were investing on leverage. Or willing to lose. Yes. Okay. That's the other part of it. And that's what they did. You can lose more than what you have invested when you invest on leverage and on margin. Oh, and it's tax-free as long as you pay it back. Rizzo529. Understood. Question is, how long do you have to pay the $1,000 back? Plus, I mean, emergency bill of $1,000. I don't have emergency bills of $1,000. I have emergency bills that are higher than that, like when we had to have our gutter repaired, and that was like $2,500. Things like that. Are there any special cables from the 4090 that would prevent the cables from melting? Well, first off, don't overclock it. That's how you can make sure it doesn't melt. Make sure you insert them correctly. That helps out a lot as well. But again, if you're running them on AI, typically, you're not running them at 450 watts. Unless you have a background mining job, which I've kind of gone away from doing at this point. Oh, well, obviously, because I can't underclock the cards when I'm doing that. So, yeah, those are way unprofitable when you run them like that right now. But yeah, you're running them at like right now, the one that's taking up the most power is actually only running them at 300 watts. The other one is off right now. In fact, I can show you guys. I had these brought up, and I have them running on NV top. Okay, there we go. So here's one. This one's running Zen Blocks Miner on all 8 cards, and you can see they vary. This one's running at like 314 watts, 313, and then you got some that go all the way down to 278. So it isn't going to matter because the text won't get bigger. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm blasting you guys with here. Let me go back to something that has a darker background, and then let me bring that back up. So that's one. The other one, last time I checked, wasn't doing anything. Well, maybe he stopped because now there's not even a process. So let me check to see if he's still rented. No, not rented anymore. Dang it. I thought that was a keeper. Thought it was a keeper. But let me bring up the other one. This one's still on. And that one's doing Python modular.py. So, but as you can see, it's not doing anything right now. It's idle. And that's what you typically see with these, is that they run at idle. So they don't take a lot of power, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. But that is a bummer. I have a feeling that based on what I've seen, that I thought something had been on the whole time. I think there's been ones coming on and off that for this 4 GPU one. But it's been keeping it pretty cool. I got no complaints about the Octo server. It's been running rock solid. I've been talking to Chili. So I've got, what's really cool about the Octo server, and I have to really kind of do a whole review of it, because I got a couple of criticisms on it, but for the most part, love it. One of the things I really love is that all of like the PCIe on the first 5 on the front, the PCIe power cables are like right behind the GPU, like right above and behind the GPU, like making it super easy to make the connection. The one problem is that the 6th GPU, you have to actually go down to board level. Well, these the 4090s are tall, and the cables that they provided are meant from going from the top of the GPU to the PCIe right behind it. So I've asked Chili to either provide me provide the spec to the cable, which I believe is the same spec as either Asus or I cannot think of the name of it. It's right here. Seasonic. Couldn't think of it. Seasonic. I think it's the same cable as Seasonic, cable spec as Seasonic. But again, I don't know that for sure. So I want to make sure if we're going to plug something in, I want to make sure it's right. I don't want to screw up the board or the GPU. So if he got me the spec, I could give it to Veteran and hopefully he could make me a cable. Otherwise, I wanted to see if they could provide a longer cable for that one slot. And I think that would be a positive thing to do. Yeah. So I'm just trying to think of if I might have an extra one of those cables from Seasonic. So if it's the same one as Seasonic, I could actually use one of their long cables. I don't know. I have to wait for his answer. He's gonna let me know. And then there's the SAS cage that's provided. They didn't provide the cables to connect those. I have no plans to use it anyway, but I kind of wanted to get an idea of if I was to ever want to use it. Like say I wasn't doing AI anymore, or maybe I would turn that into a server where then I might have it be a NAS as well as an AI machine. I don't know. But it would be nice to know how that might work. So I don't have those cables, so I'd asked him about that as well. But again, this particular unit was a one that went around to all the shows. So if you've ever been involved in trade shows and with equipment going around to trade shows, yeah, things can go missing, not be included, all those kinds of things. That's typical. But anyway, but I have everything I need to get that thing working except for that longer cable. But again, I don't have a 4090 to go in that slot yet anyway. So we'll see when I finally am able to get that. But I would love to be able to do that. Have the 8 4090 rig and the 6 4090 rig all running off of the 30 amp circuit and being happy about it. Having 14 3090s running off or 4090s running off, that would be awesome. And then I got 3 other outlets, 15 amp outlets and 20 amp outlets that that I can use. Plus, my daughter moved out, so now the one she was using it with her computer, I could use that outlet as well if I needed to. So, all right, back to the chat. The IRS is letting. Oh, you already did that one. Anything goes with the IRS. It has a 3-year payback. Thought about taking an emergency withdrawal myself and putting it into investments. Yeah, it's a little risky, but if you have the only question is when do you have to pay it back? Now, here's the other part of it, though. Oh, 3 years? Oh, wow. That's pretty good, actually. But here's the thing. I have a 401k, so I don't think they allow it out of a 401k. Maybe they do. I have to do some research into this now. But my IRAs, they're already in Bitcoin ETFs. So doesn't make much sense to cash those out to put the crypto in somewhere else. You know, I'll just invest it in Bitcoin anyway. So that's where I had, like I said, the extra $700 or so sitting in the account, not doing much. And I was able to snag some Bitcoin at a lower price. Let's see. T-Gig, when Octominer overview video? I know. I need to do that. Well, the good thing is, like I said, this weekend, I got everything done except for one thing. I still have one 3060 Ti to get into one. I have to load it up with Windows and get Salad on it. And then I am done with configuring software. And then the only other thing that I've been thinking about is how to configure the rack so I can consolidate. Right now, everything's kind of spread out and would like to be able to consolidate back into the rack, which means I could take the mining rig out, put the 8 GPU rig hopefully in there, in that space. I think it would fit, but I haven't completely measured that up yet. But the problem is that I hate taking any of my rigs offline because you lose the job and then it takes a while to get a job back. So like right now with the 4 GPU one, not having anything on it, it would be easy to move. Problem is that if I am actually going to think about putting a 4090 or putting 2 more 4090s in it, I want to do that before I move it. Because to put 4090s in it, once it gets in the rack, it's going to be a pain. It's definitely going to be a pain. And I'm not talking like a standard 19-inch rack. I'm talking about like a wire shelf unit that's heavy duty, so it can take a lot of weight. And I'll have the Octo server, which is going to be the heaviest thing on there. That'll be on the bottom shelf. So we don't have to worry about creating any wobble or anything in it. But T-Gig, you're right. Keep nagging me about it. Any cryptos you looking at that got maybe punished too hard and now provides an opportunity? You know, I haven't looked that much at that. I did actually look at like the 7-day and I wanted to see what had been hit the hardest, but it's meme coins. I don't want to invest in meme coins. Dog with hat down 41%. Yawn. Pepe. What the hell's Ethereum name service? Thorchain. Arweave. Beam. In the 8-card 4090 rig, sorry, let me, 3-year payback. That's where it was. But yeah, the 8 GPU rig, I only have 256 gig in it. The 4-card Octo server has 512 gig. That thing's a monster. an absolute monster. So yeah, the eight GPU rig is a little underpowered, shall we say? But I'm not changing it. Would it make sense to take 2 GPUs out of that and put it in the Octo server so I could make more money? No, and here's the reason why. Once you can always increase the number of GPUs in a rig. You can never decrease the number of GPUs in a rig. Doesn't work. VAST does not account for reducing the number of GPUs. So if I went from an 8 GPU rig on that 4090 rig down to 6, shall we say, I would lose my verification. So, and that would be bad. That'd be very bad. So that one's just going to stay the way it is. Let's see. So anyway, sorry. Cryptos I might be looking at. So as I said, I basically did reverse order looking at the hardest hit. So if we look at this, let's see. Let's start getting into stuff that, Brett, again, another meme coin. Maker, maybe. I don't really know too much about the project. But again, you got Bonk, Render. Render, I know that DJ mentioned that he was going to buy some Render. This is why, because it was hit pretty darn hard. It is interesting though. So a lot of these things were covered, but they've gone back down. Again, you're going to get that kind of bounce. Let's see. Graph, Arbitrum, but Arbitrum basically is down bad because Ethereum's down bad. More than the overall market. Chainlink would be a good, I think. It's down 26%, 27%. Jupiter I'm in, that I think could be a good opportunity. I'm actually participating in their votes. And actually, as you do that, you become eligible for higher amounts of airdrops the next time they do an airdrop at the beginning of next year. So I am farming that airdrop a bit. It's the only airdrop I am farming, or if you want to call it that. Just by participating in the votes, you have the possibility of getting, well, not even the possibility, you will get higher amounts the next time they do an airdrop in, I think, January, February timeframe. Uniswap, that could be a really good one as well. Let's see, what else do we got? Filecoin down quite a bit. I think that's a good opportunity. Again, Ethereum, I boycott it. Avalanche is another one I'm in. That's I think is a good opportunity. And obviously Solana being down 23%. Can't really go wrong with that, or Polkadot. But now we're starting getting towards the end. We're maybe not so much towards the end. Let's go back up to like the 15. Yeah, Bitcoin's down 16%. So anything that's down more than that, obviously, those would be the ones that, and I think the more established ones. Algorand, not a bad one. Cardano, definitely a good one, but it was not hit quite as hard as some of the others. I don't know. Litecoin, obviously, you guys know how I feel about Litecoin and Matic. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity. It's almost like throwing a dart at a dartboard. Everything is down about the same, 15 to 25%. There aren't any like large outliers as far as I know. Let's see. Oh, 401k, yes. Okay. Well, I guess I'll have to see if my 401k allows it. All right, so let's see. How is your NAS project going? It's going fine. It's working. I think I can show that. Hang on. Let me, I right now have it on a beta load for Unraid. And I have, like I said, I've been liking it. I don't see any IP addresses. Oh, that's okay. I know what that is. Let's go here. Make sure it's not here. It has dark mode, which I love. Here, let me bring this up here. So here's the dashboard. You know, currently the array is started. This is what I got on the array. And then I also have a cache drive that I'm going to be using for like VMs and such. So that's the NVMe. But that's the way I have it set up currently. I still have, I only have 1 day and 16 minutes left. I guess I'll be buying that. There is a sale right now going on. There's like the middle package, I forget what it's called, but it's $20 off. So it'll be $90 to buy that software, buy that license. So I will go ahead and do that tonight and be pretty happy about that. But I don't know. I really haven't done any experimenting on this yet. I need some time to kind of play with it. But yeah, and I need time to start downloading stuff to it. And I just haven't done that. I did I had SmugMug and it was coming up due. So I didn't want to renew for another year because they were raising the price like an ungodly amount. So I put all those pictures onto the NAS as well as onto my 4 gig drive on my computer. So I have it in 2 different spots right now. So we're safe there. I don't want to put too much of the way of stuff on the drives until we get past beta. So that's really the key at this point. I need to get past beta. By the way, I am going to try to go till 10 o'clock tonight because, well, for another 40 minutes or so, because Iowa Crypto Mining is going to be on at that point. So I will redirect to him once I am done going live. So anyway, I want to put some containers on there, but I haven't. I mean, you go into the plugins and there's just, not here. Where is it? In apps. There's just so much. It's like, where do I start? So I need to do some kind of digging and start looking at, hey, this is a good thing to have on it. Like one of the ones I know I want to look at is Tailscale. I also want, I don't know if Tailscale does that, but I want to look at applications that will back up my computers automatically to the NAS. So that's one of the things I definitely want to do. So I have to look to see what the best thing for that is. I know everybody used to use Plex, but a lot of people have been using Jellyfin. I have no need for media. I actually took the GPU out of the NAS since I'm not doing any of that type of stuff on there. Maybe at some point I might put something in it, especially if I want to like run Olama or something on it, which you can. There's a actual Olama container app that you can put on it. So I don't know. There's so much, it's overwhelming. It's really what it comes down to. I have to decide what I'm gonna do. All right, enough of that. Rizzo529 says Salad isn't doing well for me anymore. I went from a 3060 Ti to a 12 gig 3060 with 80 gigs of DDR4 RAM and a Xeon 2650 V4. Okay, nice. And making a couple bucks a week like with the Ti. Yeah, evidently the TIs and the 3060s, the plain 3060s haven't been doing well. I just put some on. I'm not expecting a lot from them, but a couple bucks a week is still better than mining at this point. I mean, you think about it, you're going to be making 10 cents a day if you're lucky mining. So you're still looking at less than $1 a week in profit. You're still making more by putting it on Salad overall, because you can't really say which cards necessarily are going to do great. I'm hoping that the 4070 Ti seem to do pretty well. The 23090s obviously are doing okay. I'm hoping that moving the 4070 will actually do pretty well, do just as well, hopefully, as the 3090 that I took out. Oh yeah, I guess I can in big in my face now. So I don't know. I'm really experimenting more than anything with the 3060 Ti's. No real harm in it. Yeah, you're burning some power, but not that much because they're an idle unless they're rented. Yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Frogman says you run in mechanical drives or SSDs or NVMe. So the 6 drives that were on there, here, let me go back to it. Let me bring that up and then put it back up. So these 6 drives, those are all spinning hard disks, spinning Rust. So I have 2 parities and 4 main disks. So these are all 10 terabyte disks. So I have about 40 terabytes of storage. Plenty. And I've used about less than a terabyte. I think I've used 20 gig at this point. I've used barely any of it. But like I said, I'm confident in the beta because the reason why they're staying with the beta is I guess they want to go to the next Linux kernel before they make this a final release or a release candidate. So I don't know. I don't know how quickly it's going to go from beta to something else, but I did not want to learn the previous version because this is a fairly significant change in user interface. If you're super familiar with the other one, you probably wouldn't take long, but since I was learning it from scratch, I did not want to spend a month or month and a half on the old interface and then just have to relearn a new interface. So, Gaming with Smoky Dan, is it just me or does everyone expect Tiny Mac's screen to be a high-pitched voice and deeper as screen size increases in size? Oh, that's funny. I could do that. I could definitely do that. I'm not gonna, but I could. You know, you've heard me say, it's a fucking goat. So you guys have heard me say it. So you know I can do it. All right. Keep asking me questions, guys. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Here, I actually had some notes from my Saturday night. Oh, yeah, I'm going back to the Big interface. So, yeah, for those people that didn't know, unemployment went from 4.1 to 4.3%. That's kind of what tipped everybody off and got people freaked out. More than that, the lower amount of jobs created, only at 120,000, which was below, I believe, the 175,000 that was expected, was a bit of a shock. Plus, in a second. And then they also reduced the estimates that they had from the previous month. So it was kind of like a triple whammy type of thing. And inflation is now more favorable. And what I find interesting is, so you've heard me mention it before, the inflation rate is affected a lot by housing. Well, but housing inflation rate has got to be somewhat affected by interest rates. So it's kind of like a feedback loop. So if the only thing keeping the inflation rate high right now is mainly, obviously, food and energy are going to be all over the place anyway. So they always look at without food and energy. So without food and energy, housing is where the inflation's at. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Will housing prices come down or will interest rates just come down, allowing more people to buy homes because of the lower interest rates and the lower payments? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Okay. So Nelson's Crypto says, when max ASICs? As soon as somebody gives me one for free. That's as clear of an answer as I can give. Because when ASICs am I going to buy? I'm not going to buy a Bitcoin ASIC. They're not making a lot right now. Most people have them shut off. That's not happening. AlphaPex. Their script miners are very, very interesting. But I did the math. The DG1 Plus, before the downturn, the break-even point was over a year and a half. You start getting those down to a year, then I might think about it. And obviously, Caspa, you can't calculate that like you calculate everything else because its return is reducing every month. So you have to take that into account. And yeah, I think Caspa ASICs very risky venture. Not putting any of my hard-earned money into that. The ALF ones are kind of a little bit more interesting. But again, the big problem there is what's going to happen to the hash rate once the big boy ALF ASICs from Bitmain hit the market. That's the scary point. And how quickly are they going to get to that 1 exahash where the block reward starts getting reduced because there's too much hash power? Yeah. Only thing that slightly interests me right now is AlphaPex with the GGs as well as the home miner. I'd love to get my hands on the home miner. AlphaPex, if you're listening, I would love to review the home miner when you have a chance. Call me. Anyway, let's see. Scott Sheffield said, we meet the technical requirements for a recession now, but I haven't seen the GDP below 0. I haven't seen that yet. I know we met the requirements before when they said, well, not quite, and kind of moved the goalposts a bit. But again, that one was a very mild recession. So was it a recession? Kind of. You don't have recessions where they just go below 0 to like 0 to 1, maybe 1.5%, and then immediately go back up after two quarters. That's like super mild. That's not even a soft landing. That's like landing on a bed. A bed of feathers. That's what it's like. But I'm not sure. So let me read the rest of what you said. The rule indicates a recession has started when the 3-month moving average of the U.S. unemployment rate is 0.5 percentage points or more above its lowest during the previous 12 months. I've never heard of that as being the definition. That might be included in the requirements for it, but I always thought that might be the reason why they called the last one not a recession, because they didn't have this. But I still thought you had to have GDP below 0, like a negative growth. Gaming Spunky Dan says, just need 2 balloons, one with helium and the other argon. More fun than a voice changer. Yeah, and then I'll probably wake up tomorrow with a huge headache as I'm like put myself through oxygen deprivation. What am I GPU mining at the moment? I am currently GPU mining Zealous. Is it profitable? I have no idea at this point. I haven't looked. I have not looked. I know I'm not spending a lot on power, so let's see. In fact, that reminds me, I gotta look. I think the Terra bills came out today. I have not looked at my email today, so I don't know for sure. Guessing they have. Let's see. Oh, wrong gas meant sulfur hexafluoride for deeper voice. Got it. He said argon and helium. Yeah, I remember. Who's Sam? Sam came out and said fits the rule, but not really in a recession. Okay. Who's Sam? If you remove new government jobs are declining. Yeah, that would not surprise me with all the layoffs. Not surprising at all. Yeah, Second TL was under the same impression. Thought 2 negative GDP quarters. They keep changing the rules. Yeah, I kind of like to go by the old rules. By the way, they keep changing the definition of inflation, and this is where it's come back to roost, because they kept increasing the amount of housing, because housing prices were very stable for a long time or declining. And I don't mean the housing prices. The cost of housing was very stable. But that's definitely hasn't been the case for the last few years. Let's see. All right, 9:34. I got 25 more minutes. 25 more minutes. I feel the pressure. I was talking to Croupman last night, and he's like, man, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you guys live stream. It's like so much pressure to fill the time, fill the space. I'm like, yeah, I just don't usually have that problem. I can talk. And you don't have to, yes, you need topics to talk about, but you don't really have to prepare if you just think about things. You just think about things on your feet, go to do searches and whatever. I don't know. This just kind of like, think about, like, I always think about like what, I haven't seen him lately. I know he's been gone. So, but when Chump did the daily grind, he's just doing what he normally does. Every morning, he's just bringing everybody else along for the ride, which is great. I always enjoy his streams. I would just wish he would go back to his old time, which I know he can't. I totally get that. It's very selfish of me to ask him to do that. I just know that I do miss it in the morning. He's probably long gone by now, probably in bed. No, he was. He said he was here at the very, very beginning. The very, very beginning. So Game of Smoking Dan says, so you're saying it doesn't mean inflation, doesn't mean inflating something, i.e. adding hot air into a balloon. I know you're trying to make a joke there. I just am not following it. Sorry. I know nothing says, I miss CCXD. Yeah, I do too. Although, man, his solar content is on fire. He is doing awesome things with that. Scott R says, so much more money in the system. I don't think there's not that much stimulus in the system at all. I mean, obviously there's stimulus from the government programs, but not stimulus from the Fed. That, I believe, has completely gone away. Maybe I'm wrong. Vinny Del Greco says, the indicator is named after its creator, Claudia Sahm, a former Federal Reserve and White House economist. Interesting. I did not know that. The rule indicates a recession has started when the 3-month moving average of the U.S. unemployment rate is 0.5 percentage points or more above its lowest during the previous 12 months, I believe, is how that ends. Well, that's interesting, because if we've hit recession, then and the Fed is still using that measure, they probably will come out with an emergency rate cut. That can be pretty interesting. Second TL said, are you into any CPU mining, or did you convert your CPU rigs to Salad? I hate that damn heart. I see. Oh, there we go. Salvium is the new popular coin. I currently am not mining anything on CPU. I sometimes did it on my home computer, but I haven't done that for quite a while. But yeah, I've converted it all to Salad. But I don't know. I might. I have a. Which one do I? 3060 Ti in a 5950X paired together, which is a horrible combination. Makes no sense, but it was what I had. It's what I had my 4090s in it. I didn't want to move everything around. So I've got a couple of 5700Xs. So got a couple 8 cores, got a 16 core. Well, actually, that's got a 16 core in it, but those cores are taken. So yeah, and I found out actually on my Nimbus node for Flux, I have 3 apps on my Nimbus node right now. Pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever seen where I've had 3. Oh, I am, meaning that you are mining CPU. Oh, so with you in 401k, all in BTC ETF. No, I don't have access to a Bitcoin ETF yet in my 401k. I have past 401k money that I put in an IRA. That is 100% in a Bitcoin ETF. So, and actually, Sunflower Mama's IRA is actually an I Trust Capital. Couldn't remember it. Where hers is all in crypto. So, yeah. We are a crypto family. No stocks. No stocks. Now, I will go back to stocks once we hit the bull run. And probably pull the money back out of I Trust Capital because they only have crypto. But we'll see. Game of Smoking Dan. I had a 6-card rig no longer show up on Hive, so moved 4 to a spec rig that CPU and GPU mines, but is offline right now. Other 2 cards were put on 5900X CPU rigs. Interesting. You're going to be bazillionaires. Hey, from your lips to God's ears, man, because we are way behind the curve and where we should be right now. Had a couple of, well, more than a couple bad years. Was in the mortgage business, which was great. Socked away money hand over fist. And then really had, how many years was that? 14, 15 years. About 15 years where I was making way less than I should have been. So, yeah. There's a couple of years in there I wouldn't change for the world. Wasn't making as much as I was capable of, but I loved the job. Absolutely loved the job. Let's see. Think BTC hits 49K again. Nope. I don't. I think we've seen the adjustment. And again, I don't think any of this had to do with the crypto market. Had everything to do with all the other markets. I think this type of environment is great for crypto. But when you're talking about liquidity and leverage and all that other stuff that is outside of crypto in order to get that leverage, yeah, that's that. And overall, people are selling because they see they're running for the doors. They're looking for exits. They can't handle the volatility. That's really the bottom line. Some people can't handle the volatility, but like I said, the other part of it is it's just required. People could handle the volatility, but they had to get liquid because of leverage. Let's see. Scott Sheffield, same here. Been in mortgage for 20 years. Yeah, there's been some lean years, and so I think I may have even told you this before, Scott Sheffield. I worked for Wachovia during its final months. I worked for Wachovia for 4 months. It was so bad that I had a 2-day closing for an FHA loan that I was actually at the closing trying to get people to do what they were supposed to do, and it still took 2 days. I'm like, never again. I'm not doing that. What it did to those people trying to get into their house, it was horrible. I mean, you know, all those plans are made. It should all have been taken care of beforehand. The next month, Wachovia closed down the mortgage division. The next month.
Real estate talk.
Oh. Okay, getting back to crypto. Crypto market has no circuit breaker like manipulated stock market. Exactly. I mean, that's what happened yesterday. I mean, there's no break. There's just nothing to stop it. Now, with that said, if you remember, we went from 52,000 up into the 60s with almost no support levels. It just went boom. And the disadvantage to doing that is that means that you have no support levels on the way down. So once you hit like 50, somewhere between 50, I think it was 57. Once you hit 57, there was no stop. You're going straight to 52. And if you're going straight to 52, you're going to blow right by it before you start coming back. So, yeah, like I said, none of this, like I was like, oh, interesting. Not surprising. Not surprising.
I was in here now, so if you just want to go early.
Iowa, you're in here now. You want to go early? Go 15 minutes early? Real estate talk. Oh no. Yeah, that's the last thing Iowa wants. That's too much like work. Raven coin is really cheap now. Time to buy. You've been talking to Panda too much. Yeah, but where's it going? Where's Raven going? What's its attraction? I'm not saying it's a bad coin, but nobody's using it. It's about adoption. Nobody's using it. That's the problem. You said you can go early? Yeah, 15 minutes. You're not going early. 15 minutes is when you said you were going to go live.
No, somebody asked him if he was going live.
Oh,
15 minutes. You
got
asked
it.
him if he could go if he
All right, give me a time. No, I can't. Okay, got it. All right. Well, I will pull up your stream as soon as I see you start your countdown. I will start to sign off. Let me bring up your countdown over here, or at least bring it up. Oh, Lark Davis is on too. I do enjoy watching Lark Davis, but you really should go watch Iowa Crypto Mining. Let's see. I don't know why, but Iowa Crypto Mining doesn't pop up in my general, like when he's got something coming up. I even said remind me. And there it is. All right, I will wait to see when he starts his stream. But in the meantime, trying to think if there's anything else going on. Yeah, so basically what I have coming up, I need to, like I said, do that one last salad rig and then monitor it and see, if I continue wanting to do that. One thing I probably will want to do, especially if I find out that the 3060s are doing better than the 3060 Ti's on salad, is that next time I go to Kansas, I probably will bring my 3060 Ti's with me and swap them out for 3060s and take the 3060s home with me. That's what I'm thinking. So might even bring the 3060 I have here with me because it has horizontal fins as opposed to vertical fins. So it'll blow through much better, even though one of the fans isn't working on it. But yeah, that I may do that if I find that to work better. But other than that, then I really need to spend the time to make some content because I do have a lot of things that I've partially recorded. I am going to be doing a video on how to move machine ID. It's like stupid simple. I could actually show you the two commands. Let me do this. Notepad, and then I need Discord. Go into my second TL Discord link. Because that's where I hit it. Well, not really hit it, but put it as a pinned comment in our conversation. So here is the commands. Oh, that was not exactly what I wanted there. All right, let me go back to here, go to here. It is going to be a little bright because we're going into Notepad. All right, let me go back over here. Now let me bring up the other screen. Actually, before I do that, we are going to... I am, but he hasn't... Oh, he did start. Oh, he didn't have a countdown. All right, well, let me show you this really quick, and then I will go to Iowa. Zoom in. Control plus. Okay, we're going to do Control plus until it gets big enough. All right. And then after this, I will sign off. All right, let me bring up the other screen. Okay. These are the two commands. So on the original machine, the one you're moving it from, you do that cat command, which is basically saying to show what is in that file. That's what you're doing. Then the next command is what you do on the rig you're moving the machine ID to. Okay. You use an echo command, but here was the key. You have to put the -N in there. The -N removes the carriage return from the echo. If you don't do that, you have a carriage return at the end of your string, which is bad because then it doesn't read it right. But then you take your ID that you got from the first command, put that in the quotation marks, and then do the rest of it. And boom, it's been moved. Now, before you move it, before you've done the second part of the command, make sure you shut the first one off. Secondly, don't make the same mistake I did. Make sure that you never turn that machine on where it can boot up and steal the machine ID back. And that's it. It's super simple. Oh, and now, well, hey, it's perfect timing. We couldn't hear him before. Now we can hear him. So I'm going to mute him so you guys can't hear him over there. But anyway, I appreciate you guys all being here. Go over and raid IO Crypto Miner. Right now, it is an order. The general gives you that order. All righty, guys. Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate it. And the general is out. Have a great night, everybody.